Hi, this is Thomas with Believe in the Run.
It's Robbe with Believe in the Run.
And we're talking about one of my favorite boutique running shoe manufacturers right now.
Boutique.
Out of Canada. Robbe, what are they?
Norda. And the Norda 002 trail running shoe / trailcore fashion shoe. I don't know where to put it. I think it works for both.
So we went out on a trip to California and ran in, what was the name of the park?
Redwood Regional.
And we did a pretty...
Terrible run.
Well, no, it wasn't terrible. It was scenic. It looked like we were on the moon of Endor. Ewoks were like trying to kill us with logs and stuff. Speeder bikes were flying by.
I felt like something was trying to kill me because that was up and down a mountain basically.
Yeah. So basically we ran down a hill for 2 miles and turned around and ran straight back up.
Yeah.
Can we get behind the philosophy of their shoes before we jump in?
Sure, yeah, so go for it.
Norda makes trail shoes, but their idea is make a better shoe that lasts longer so you buy less. Now, the price of these shoes are a little bit on the higher side, but they are made with some really long-lasting ingredients, so we'll get into it.
Again, this shoe retails, throw it out there already, $285, which is on the higher side of things, although at this point it's not even that crazy. But let's get into what makes this shoe possibly valuable, possibly not, what's different than their first version in the 001. There's a lot to cover here, so let's get into it.
One of the things that's not different is the upper material. We're working with Dyneema here, and Dyneema is one of the strongest fabrics that you can get. Now, one thing about this upper though is while it's really strong and really durable, it's not stretchy at all.
Not stretchy, also not breathable, so your feet, if it's a hot day out, your feet are gonna sweat.
What we did find is while it doesn't stretch so much, it does kind of mold.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that, especially in the first version of the shoe, the 001, which I wore a lot, not just for running, but just like a lifestyle shoe. I felt like the shoe really grew on me the more I wore it, especially the upper. Just felt like a glove. And I think when we were doing a podcast, they kind of described it as like a leather jacket feel, which really is actually
pretty accurate. Or 501s, like if you ever bought a pair of like hard denim and you kind of molded to you after a while. As a matter of fact, the first time when we got the shoe, it took me a long time to get into really liking the shoe because the fit didn't feel just right. As time went by, it did kind of mold to my foot, and this became one of my favorite trail running shoes of the last couple of years.
The 002 is not the successor to the 001. It's actually its own standalone shoe. So while the 001 is meant more for just general trail usage and mileage, this is meant as more of a speedy race day shoe. It weighs less, they use lighter materials, drop the stack height. So it's just a different shoe altogether. So I should probably preface the review with that. The Dyneema they used in this version is definitely lighter. So you got the Dyneema upper, Dyneema laces, which again, indestructible, but I will say the laces, you really gotta tie them properly or else they would come undone. The strength of the fibers kind of makes them come undone. In the upper for this version, which was really nice and needed, there's more structure around the heel collar, which
you're gonna see more padding.
Which was one of the issues we definitely had with the first one. There wasn't much there.
This one has more of that traditional feel where it's padded all the way around the collar and the heel counter. The fit felt pretty good. I will say to you, Robbe, that originally I got my size 10.5, and I thought it ran a little small. I took it out, I took the boys hiking, and I was like, this might run a little small. So they sent me an 11, and the 11 felt pretty good. But then when I was talking to them while we were out there, I noticed that it does kind of pack down a little bit inside because it's on the same last as this one, which I do wear my regular size 10.5. So then I started putting back on the 10.5 and it did kind of stretch out a little bit or pack down so that there's more room in the toe box.
For one thing, on their website, they say to go up a half size.
Okay.
So that automatically you would think you would go up a half size. And I felt like that's what I needed to do in mine. They felt a little short, a little snug. The ceiling on the toe box is low.
It is, but that's where I'm saying where it packed down after a while.
Yeah.
I found that there's more room in there. Let's take it down to this Vibram midsole.
Vibram midsole was pretty surprising when it came out in this shoe. I think because that's the first time
I've ever used a branded Vibram midsole. I didn't even know they made midsoles.
I wasn't expecting much when we first got this shoe, but it's actually a really good midsole. I mean, it's EVA, but whatever formulation they use for the trails is really, really nice.
Yeah, it has that dampening effect when you land, and then you still feel like you get a little bit of a bounce off off the toe.
So that was fine. So they lowered the stack height in this version of the shoe. Like I said, it's 24 millimeters in the heel, 20 millimeters in the forefoot. Now, and again, this is supposed to be more of like that lightweight racing style
Low to the
shoe.
ground.
Norda themselves said that they're kind of like zigging where the industry zags.
So everybody's making higher stack shoes. Norda's like, let's make a lower stack shoe.
Which I do appreciate, because I think that that's gonna start coming back around.
What we need is materials that feel as good in a lower stack as they do in a high stack.
Does that midsole work in this shoe? What do you think, Tommy?
I felt like it did, especially, I mean, you're putting a lot of pressure on your foot when you're going downhill at a faster pace and you feel that coming down. My foot still felt plenty protected. Now, if I was going for a 50K, would I go with this or go with the 001? Most likely I'd go with the 001. It just really depends on your preference.
It does have a lightweight, speedier feel. For me, I think it's a little too, like it's just a little too low for me. I get it, it's for a race day feel. It might have been a little too low for me. I felt like this was like the perfect amount of that Vibram midsole. It's like such a great midsole. So
well, that's good because you can still get the 001.
Yeah, exactly. The outsole here,
identical to the 001.
yeah, this is a fantastic outsole. I loved it in the 001. I love it in here. Has a decent, probably like what, 4.5 millimeter lugs, I think. If you've worn this outsole and a number of other shoes, you know how good it is. It sticks to everything. It's just great. It has these like little nubs for extra traction that stick out probably like 6-7 millimeters. So it's a little bit extra there for you.
And let's talk about design-wise. There's obviously an intention not to scream Norda or put a giant logo on the shoe. The attention to detail and the look itself pretty much says Norda when you see it. Like when I see this shoe, I don't even have to see a logo to know that it's Norda. And the little pieces of detail, like the topographical map that's like embedded here in this outsole, all these little trails. This is also like the elevation map to their favorite running area on the side here. So there's all these neat little design elements.
Canadian shield.
Yeah, the Canadian shield that just kind of lets you know that it's very intentional.
I forgot to mention, I really like this toe protection here. It's a lot more substantial than the first version, than the 001. So that's another nice little detail.
Just a couple other notes. The tongue is gusseted, which we always love. They removed the pull tab, which I liked in this shoe, but
I did like the pull tab.
yeah, it does have a reflective strip here. The shoe fits well, and this one does feel lighter, quicker on the feet, a little more agile than the 001. It's gonna be like two tools in your kit. This one, longer miles, maybe like more easy pace. This one, race day on the trails.
For your size 10.5, it's 9.9 ounces, 281 grams, which for a trail shoe is pretty light. That's getting on the lighter side.
Yeah, with this much rubber coverage.
Yeah.
What are you gonna go with?
I'm gonna give this a yellow. This isn't my favorite choice for race day. I think which is what it's meant for. I think I would pick a few other shoes over that, namely like the Adidas Terrex Speed Ultra, the Hoka Tectonics 2. I just didn't love this as much as I love this shoe. So
yeah.
I don't know.
All right, so unlike Robbie, I'm gonna give it a green, but it's for different reasons. Robbie's talking about race day and all that stuff. I'm talking about just a preference for a lower stack shoe that's closer to the ground, that you feel a little more stable in, that you maybe not gonna twist your ankle in if you're on those higher stack trail shoes. It feels light, it feels fast underfoot. I don't think you can beat the durability of these shoes as far as having the Dyneema upper. They've dialed in the fit on this one that's really nice. So as a trail shoe option, I think that this is a really great option for somebody who wants a shoe that will last a long time, has a lower stack, and it's just a preference thing, not necessarily for a race thing. Overall, I think this is a solid shoe.
I do think maybe if you're racing on something that's crazy technical and want a lightweight shoe, then this does fit that. Just personally, I didn't find it as comfortable, as form-fitting, as lovable as the 001, but I don't know, just me.
That's a good point. I think the next question is, what shoe would you choose if you're only gonna get one Norda? I think both of us are gonna agree on this one. We still like the 001 as our favorite pick.
Again, they're meant for two different things, but if someone wants to enter the Norda universe, then I would probably go with the 001. And you can't go wrong.
And I'd even say this one could replace the Hoka as the darling of the fashion shoe sneakerhead
Yeah,
wearing.
we're calling it.
Yeah.
Norda's on its way up.
You're going to start seeing celebrities and stuff walking around, get their nails done, and they'll be in a pair of Norda 001s.
Dude, Pete Davidson pulled one of these out on that complex shoe.
Ooh, roll that footage,
thing.
Brandon. Pull that up.
He pulled one off the shelf and took it home. So you know Pete Davidson's in on it, that things are...
It's about to blow.
I don't even know what that means, but I feel like that's a trend.
It is a trend. If you're only going to get one, we might suggest the 001, but if you're serious about trails and want that option and you've fallen in love with the 001 and you want another one in your collection, 002 is doing a great job.
And make sure you check out our interview with the founders of Norda. That's also on our channel. It was a really good interview, like behind the scenes of starting a shoe company and kind of their vision with the brand. And I got to give them credit because they are... Like when people have problems with the shoes, they answer directly. They work with the customer directly, like the owners. You don't get that from really any brand.
Yeah, they're really passionate about what they're doing and bringing a terrific product to the market. So we expect to see more from them. As a matter of fact, we're really excited about the 003. We can't tell you what it is, but we'll probably be wearing it when it comes to the running event this December. That's
gonna be a good one.
So yeah. Go ahead, like this video, subscribe. Robbie will put these other links in the description. And check out our weekly newsletter. It's easy to get a subscription. And you get all the information. So it's all the reviews that we've done that week, all the videos, our podcasts, Fuel for the Soul, all of it in one spot. So we'll put a link to that newsletter in here as well.
And make sure you listen to our podcast and just subscribe and follow us in general. And thanks for listening, watching, whatever.